the moment you said lowering cortisol, thought of the two supplements that come to mind are ashwagandha, which I think can potently reduce cortisol, but I've heard some recommendations about cycling it. And I've always wondered about time of day for ashwagandha intake, because sort of quote unquote want cortisol elevated in the early part of the day.
Yes.
We know this. We know you do not want cortisol peaking later in the day.
No, you do not. Interferes with sleep.
Interferes with sleep. And then the other supplement is rhodiola rosacea.
Rhodiola is very effective. It's been shown in multiple randomized trials to lower cortisol, so that could be very effective. The other thing that I think is super effective is phosphatidylserine, PS for short. There's one supplement that I found to be incredibly helpful for people who tend to have high cortisol at night, and that's called a cortisol manager. It's by Integrative Therapeutics. I don't have a second supplement manufacturer that makes something similar. It's their number one selling supplement because it's so effective.
Is it a cocktail of several things?
It's a combination of phosphatidylserine and ashwagandha. Ashwagandha's data is not great, but lack of proof is not proof against. So with ashwagandha, most of the data comes from thousands of years of using it in Ayurvedic medicine. And it's considered, again, not my science hat, it's considered a double adaptogen, so that it's potentially helpful when you are a high cortisol phenotype, like I sometimes still am, or low cortisol.
Tell me more about phosphatidylserine. I am familiar with it it's been mentioned by some guests that were on the Tim Ferriss podcast long ago for other reasons, I think related to sleep.
Yes.
And maybe that's another reason why you like it. But before we move on from rhodiola, is there a dosage of rhodiola rosacea that you...
So I would refer people to my book, because the randomized trials and the doses that were used are in there. So I can't remember with rhodiola, although I took it this morning to prepare to be with you.
Yeah, we can look it up and put a show note caption. So
I can remember the dose with phosphatidylserine because I take that regularly. So 400 to 800 milligrams is the typical dose for PS. And what's interesting is that in the randomized trials that were done, 400 milligrams was more effective than 800 milligrams.
Interesting. I've found that for several supplements that the lower dose was more effective. Phosphatidylserine, PS, so 400 to 800 milligrams, 400 being more effective. Taken later in the day or early day, does it matter?
It depends on when your cortisol is high. So for me, I tend to, what's the pattern for cortisol? Typically, it rises to its peak 30 to 60 minutes after you get up. Then it has this gradual kind of asymptotic decline until you go to bed. So if you're someone like me who peaks like way crazy high, I don't do that anymore, but that's what I used to do. I need a phosphatidylserine in the morning. For people who are high at night, who have what's known as a flat cortisol pattern or a inverted pattern, you want to take it at night.